Welcome to this channel. Thanks a lot for your interest in this video, and I will try my best to make your time worthwhile by making technology simple for you. My goal is to provide just the missing pieces that I could not find online. Quickly about me, I have over a couple of decades of software experience, and technology has been one of my passions. This being my first video, I want to thank all my mentors and authors who made technology simple for me. Git has been the simplest and most effective tool in my experience. While I claim to make tech simple through this channel, I had to choose Git for its inherent simplicity and no fluff, just of nature, right? Thanks to my mentor, Mr. Finch, who introduced me to this wonderful tool over 12 years ago. Without much further ado, let's get on to the topic. There could be an umpteen number of ways to do certain actions in Git, but this presentation is focused only on what I believe is the best and the safest way to start with Git, and also to give you a solid foundation on what exactly is going on with the Git. Git, as simple as it can get, right? Just what you need to get started on Git. And I strongly recommend using git bash commands like our command prompt or terminal. Expect Git and Git GUI, the Git GUI is installed. I will provide some additional commands in the end of the presentation that could help anyone to explore more on Git. Okay, first and foremost, we have remote repository or remote code base where everything is checked in. So let's call it as origin. Could be cloud, GitHub. So that's where you have all your code base. And when you say repository, it holds all the code and changes, what, when, who made the changes, like everything, right? So let's use this addressbook.git as an example here, but I'll be using this in a demo later, but just try to picture this. Then you have your local machine where you have to work on it. Git is a distributed version control system. What that means is like every developer who is working on the code base has the entire code base. When I say entire code base or / repository, it has all the changes, all the branches, and everything, complete thing, whatever there in the remote machine, you hold a copy in your local machine. Okay, the command to pull entire repository to your local is git clone. It's not git pull here, it's git clone. Git clone is basically you are cloning the entire repository, whatever there in the machine, you have a copy in local. Actually, the size of the transfer is going to be much lower because everything is going to be zipped from the remote. Like the transit will have the zipped file and then it gets extracted in local. Mostly it will be like text format, so the zip ratio will be very high and it's very manageable and you will not see big problem. During subversion time, you may have seen like much worse transfer rate and you will be like waiting for a long time, but not here. One other thing is it's a good practice not to push your libraries like jar files and all, which could increase the size of the code base. So keep it only to strict source files, which is pure text files and probably text configuration files. Transfer of the code base will be seconds or less than minutes. So once you have the code base, you have entire copy again. I'm emphasizing that your entire copy, meaning everything, whatever there in the remote branch, everything is here. So and you refer it origin / code base. One other very important thing that I want you to take away from this presentation is to be able to distinguish what are the commands that goes over the network and what are the commands that is within the local machine. So here the over the network command, so far we have seen git clone, where you got the entire code base from the remote machine to your local machine and you're referring that as an origin / code base, right? Then you have two other area called index and workspace in local machine. If it's too much confusing, you can ignore it. But in short, what happens is you got the code base and you are trying to make some changes to one of the source file. It will be disconnected with whatever there in the remote machine, and it will also be disconnected with what you have in your local copy of the remote machine, right? So that will be on the workspace. Yeah, the next thing is, suppose you add a new file. Git doesn't know that file needs to be tracked or does not worry about that file until you add it to Git, right? Before you make the change, you will create a branch. So if you don't create a branch, you will be working on master. Basically, there is a master branch. By default, when you pull the code base and you make some changes to a file, you are making changes into that master branch. Typically, it's not advisable to change the master branch. So you will create your own branch, say git checkout -b. You give local branch name, say XYZ, and say origin / master. Local remote branch, you have to understand that it's origin / master. That means you have a copy of origin / master here. You have a master branch in the remote and you have a copy of that master branch in your local, which is origin / master. So you will say git checkout -b, your branch, whatever name you want. It could be your ticket number that was allotted to you, like XYZ-1239 or whatever, and you create that branch ticket name, and then you will say what branch you want to track. Basically, you want to modify a code that is in the master branch in the remote. So you give the local remote, which is origin / master, right? So git checkout -b XYZ-1239 origin / master. When you do that, you are creating a new branch locally with XYZ1239 and you are setting that to track remote branch origin /master. So once you do checkout, you will be switching to that branch. You are no longer in master branch, in local master branch. You are switching to the new branch XYZ1239 or whatever you created, right? And then you add a file on that branch. Then you do a commit. When you do a commit, you give a proper message on why you are committing and all the stuff. When you commit it, you are again committing to this local branch only. You have origin/master here. So once you commit it, you have all the changes committed only in local. It hasn't gone here or even got it in the local copy of here. Right? You need to understand that. Once you commit it, until you push it to this remote machine, other people would not be able to see it. You have to understand it, because you have to go over the network to push the code base to remote machine so that other people can pull it, right? So once you commit it, then you can push it to remote. So the command to push it, this is over the network command. Anything that you are pushing will happen from here, and it will also sync your local origin code base and also your remote branch, right? So then you will give git push origin local branch name, which is XYZ1239 : master, right? So your local branch, you are pushing to master. So when you do git push origin XYZ1239 : master, it gets pushed to remote. Anybody who is looking for the change can pull it. But what if someone has changed the file that you modified before you push it? So you pull it, you have the entire copy, but someone has modified the same file that you're trying to push. In this case, you will get an error, and you may have to get the latest changes that someone made and then push your change, right? On top of that. For that, you will do git rebase origin/master. But in this case, I mentioned here git rebase is a local command. It's not an over the network command. To pull somebody else change, you have to make an over the network command, right? There is a command git pull, but don't use it yet. I want you to understand something. Don't use git pull at all. So basically you can run rebase command, but that command would not know what changed on the remote. So what you do a git fetch here. So git fetch, what it does is basically it gets all the changes from remote and syncs up your local copy. This is over the network command, and it syncs up all the changes that the other person did on origin master to your local origin master. Okay. Then when you do git rebase origin/master, your current branch will rebase to origin/master. What is rebase? Suppose you committed a change to XYZ1239 and you do git rebase origin/master, Git will automatically rewind to the state when you pull originally before your change. Then it will apply the latest change it received from the remote machine, and then it will apply your change on top of it. Okay. It's like you got the latest from the remote and you are applying your change on top of that. So when you do that, you will be making changes on top of whatever change you received. Then once you rebase, then you do a commit and then push it to the remote using this command, pull the latest, and then you make the change again. Your change may not be relevant anymore because the same change or the other person would have changed something else. You resolve the conflicts and all the stuff. Then you commit it, then push it back to remote. So this is a high level flow. Let's look into a demo of this to have a clear picture and clear understanding. So again, the key you have to understand is what are the over the network commands and what are the local commands and what each command does internally. One other thing I want to show you here is when you commit the files, it's difficult to compose a single command when you have too many files modified for a feature or defect that you may be working on. So in that case, you can use your own IDE. So this IDE has this local changes displayed here. If I change anything, this is a file that is already tracked, so it automatically shows that it's changed. So these are generated by the IDE. You can add to VCS, which is like git add, or you can add it to git ignore. Git ignore is a different concept where you can specify a list of files that lies in your directory, but you don't want Git to follow any of those files. It will not be shown in an unversioned file. Again, you can commit it here, right click, commit. You enter the commit message here, continue with your push or merge, whatever you want to do in the command line. Yeah, I don't recommend using push here. Just do it in the command line because you may have to do get fetch and git rebase. One other thing that I want to show is the gitk. Gitk is a similar command that you can execute in the command line, and it comes as part of Git GUI package. Gitk shows things like this. So this is one example, the local uncommitted changes. So you've seen that we modified these, and you can look at it here visually, and you can also look at where your current branch is and where it's related to the origin, local origin. Again, none of these are over the network command. And you can also look at the history. Suppose if you're working on two different branches and you want to cherry pick a certain commit to your branch, one of your friend or some other branch has that particular change and you want to pick that change only in your local branch, you go here, right click and do a cherry pick this commit. The equivalent command line is git cherry pick the SHA ID. And you can also do git reset. Suppose whatever you pushed is wrong and you want to reset your branch to certain, so you can right click and do reset master branch to here. That change happens only in local, and if you want that to be pushed into remote, in that case you may have to do forced push because you are erasing all these commits there. Okay, thank you, and please look at part 2. You will get much more clarity on exactly how things flow in Git. It's available already. Thank you.